I'm in Max. You are listening to Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. I'm in Max. Pursuing the RPG hobby with reckless abandon.
Why, hello, and welcome to Season 28, Episode 20 of Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. I just got a notification. And,
You're Stu.
I'm Stu.
I'm Kurt.
And I'm Kimmy.
I hate when things bleep at me.
This is why,
And I don't know, I don't know where that came from.
Oh.
I silenced my phone just before we started.
I have
It wasn't
no
me.
idea. I don't know if it
There's
was
so
my
many
phone
things
or the
there.
iPad or this
Yeah.
computer or this computer. I don't know.
Or that
That's
computer.
Best
Well,
to
this is
move
all.
on.
This is all one.
Oh,
This is
yeah.
all one computer. In this episode of Happy Jacks RPG Podcast, I didn't write my summary. I love it when I do that.
You mean don't do that?
Jolene writes in about licensed games, and Dave from DC writes in about newspaper props. But first, if you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. And we stream live at 10:06.
Ish.
We got pretty close today.
Yeah, very close. 10:06
We're
a.m.
trying.
I was having
Pacific
trouble
time
finding parking.
at happyjacks.org/live. That's happyjacks.org/live. On Saturdays, 10 a.m. Pacific time.
Yep.
For the foreseeable future. Until
But our eyesight isn't very good. We all wear glasses.
softball season's over.
Volleyball.
Volleyball.
She plays volleyball. Your daughter plays
Sports
volleyball.
ball.
It's a soft
Sports
ball.
Sports ball.
You're the team dad, Stu.
I know.
Come on.
I know. They've had 4 preseason games. 0.
Aw.
It's all right.
She's got a fantastic
It's-
attitude about
it's
it.
It's like bad rolls. You just get the losses out of the way early.
And they're all
when they don't
preseason,
count.
during character gen.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's how it works, right?
No.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Once upon a time, I did actually play sports.
I wrestled. I was on a wrestling team in high school. I
Oh.
was junior varsity.
Oh, that's good.
Redonkulous for me, considering I used to run track.
Really?
Yeah.
They
It
made
was
us
so slow.
they made us carry each other on the track.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
God.
put someone over your shoulder in the same weight class, and then we actually had to run on the football field, all the way down the football field. And then you switch places, and not like from goal line to goal line, but back goal line to back
Okay.
goal line. and that extra
20 yards.
8 steps. Fuck that. Because go ahead.
Oh, I was going to... we were all doing, sports credentials. I thought it was my turn. It's fine.
Go ahead.
I was on varsity tennis, and I was captain of the swim team.
I
Really?
believe both of those things.
Yeah.
You know, when I was a kid, I was pretty good, pretty fast swimmer.
Yeah.
Up until I hit puberty, and then I slowed down and didn't do it. Really.
Now,
didn't do it.
was it you slowing down, or did everybody else just get faster?
I don't know. I stopped doing it.
Oh, okay.
I stopped doing
Well,
it.
that's probably why you got slower.
Probably. No, but I went because I did it for 2 years, I think, and I got pretty good. I did a few meets. I got third place in a meet for breaststroke. I did.
Yeah. I was amazing.
story.
I was amazing as a kid as a swimmer, except my mom didn't know how it worked. So I was on the swim team. I was 8, I think, and I was at a meet. And I didn't know how heats worked at the time. For swimming, they have so many kids at these things. They have it's the same race, but many times they'll do it. So that everybody can have a turn, and then they use
They
the
just
times.
compare the times, right? Yeah.
I didn't know. I was the only one in my heat, and I was 8. And I thought I had lost and been the only person in the race. So I cried so much, and I quit the team. And my mom didn't know how it worked either, so she was like, oh, yeah, no, she didn't quite understand that was my thought process, is that I was the only one, and I was so bad that I still lost. So
Wow.
I quit swimming for a number of
Wow.
years until I got old enough, and then I got to junior high, and I was like, oh, and then I actually had gotten a trophy. I'd done really well, but I didn't. It was terrible.
You
Sorry.
ran out of the place crying before they could give it to you.
Well, they didn't give you the trophy till the end of the season.
Oh, okay.
Because there's 100 kids swim teams are massive. There's
Right.
200 kids. And it's at the end of the year they're here's our ceremony with everybody getting everything so we can just do it all at once. But by then I'd quit and I didn't know.
On Tuesday they played Muir, which is where my kids would have gone if they didn't go to the school they're at now. All the quality of the players, their abilities, skill level was about the same, But the girls on the other team, on the mirror team, were all taller. And
That's a huge-
anytime the play was at the net,
Oh yeah.
It's huge
done.
in volleyball.
In
Huge.
huge, yes.
done.
Absolutely.
I mean, and Allie's short. Allie's like 5'2", and she's like probably mid-size on her team.
Yeah.
There are not a lot of tall girls on her team.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, that was she's still got a good attitude about it.
Yeah.
Even though they have yet to win a game.
Yeah. So this is our weekly sports ball update. Happy Jacks.
How go them Giants?
Which I would never have any interest at all if it wasn't my daughter who was playing. So you've got a, I want to start GMing, and what do we call it? I want to start GMing, and I don't know how. Tell me, Kurt.
Well, my suggestion this week. Jesus.
We're staying focused. Ready, go.
Oh, okay. My suggestion this week, actually, for wannabe GMs is actually watch some actual plays. We have plenty here on Happy Jacks, but there are a few others out there that you might be able to find. But my point is here to pick up tips from other GMs and see if any of their style inspires you. If any of their styles or little tips and tricks are things that you want to incorporate, or things that you really don't want to do. That's also a good thing to learn. So yeah, that is watch actual plays and pay attention to the GMs and what they do.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I've always learned something. Sometimes it's what not to do, but I've always learned something by either playing in someone else's game or just watching a game. No, he's on.
Okay, just check.
Yeah, no, he's good.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. Maybe you guys aren't hearing.
I can hear it.
That's right.
Someone got me.
It's working now.
I think that's also important, not just for actual plays, but like if you are gaming in person, if you're in a place that can do that right now, like just playing with as many different GMs and DMs as possible.
Yeah, and I mean,
Even if you don't have a great game, you can learn something from it about how to run or not run your next game.
yeah, and that point has been brought up many times. My point about watching the actual plays is some people do not live in the player or GM rich environment that we do.
Right. No, absolutely.
Right? If you're in Pahrump, well, not Pahrump. If you're in Elko, Nevada, you're probably not have a whole lot of gamers around you. Unfortunately,
Are there a lot of gamers in Pahrump?
I don't know. Well, Pahrump is closer to big cities than Elko is.
Okay.
Elko is close to mines.
I was actually thinking, Pahrump is on my short list of places to move when I retire.
Okay.
It actually is, because my sisters live in Vegas.
Okay,
I don't want to live in Vegas.
No.
And Pahrump is like kind of a small town, kind of.
Yeah.
It's like a
But it's close to
very
Vegas.
large trailer park.
But it's but it's close to Vegas.
Yeah, it's
As
less than
opposed
an
to-
hour away.
Elko is like smack dab in the center of Nevada.
Right.
It's like there's nobody there except
I
a
just realized-
former college roommate of mine.
Oh, I just realized I don't know anything about Nevada other than where Vegas is.
Okay,
And that
fair
it
enough.
has
Most
silver.
people don't.
Yeah.
Most people.
Well,
don't.
Oh,
that's
and the
Burning Man.
outlets. I know that. I don't.
Okay.
Burning Man is in Vegas.
I didn't
Or not
know
in
that.
Vegas, but in Nevada. It's way up north.
No, I didn't know that.
Really?
No, I didn't know that.
I've
It's
never
in
been.
the desert.
Yeah.
Ooh, and then like wave your hands like mysteriously.
It's on the playa.
It's Burning Man.
Anyway.
Yeah, that's one thing I have no interest in doing.
Same.
The other thing
Yeah.
I was looking on there's these small towns in Italy that are starting to die, like the young people are
Yeah.
moving out and
Yeah.
the population is getting very elderly. A lot of houses are in disrepair, so they're selling these houses. The state is for like $100 or $1,000, and these are like some of these things are hundreds of years old and they need to be restored.
Yeah, but if you buy it for $100,
Right? And I'm thinking it's like a whole town.
Yeah.
yeah.
That they and it's like, there's a beautiful Italian vineyards and surrounding the place. I'm like, what a place to build a gamers commune, right?
We have to check their internet though. That would be my one big worry.
Oh, their internet.
Yeah.
Yeah. You
Almost,
never know.
almost everyone in the world has better internet than the United States does, though.
That's
so.
true.
I don't know if that's true.
Especially like little towns in Italy that are falling apart.
Right.
It's like
maybe
we
not.
don't have running water.
Oh well.
But I mean, when I
but we've got blazing fast Wi-Fi.
right. And can you imagine? It's like and just all the gamers just start. We're going to go live in this little town in Italy.
I'm not against this plan, actually.
I know
It
a
would be
lot of
awesome.
people.
That's a really nice
And
plan.
someone's going to say, "Oh, they're going to need a gaming store." And the gaming store is going to open up someplace, and
2 or 3.
then sit out on your patio and look out over the vineyards.
Why, you don't even need a gaming store. We just borrow from each other. It's like
That's true.
Yeah, if it's a commune, I mean,
Yeah, it's
literally,
like-
we're just.
like gaming socialism. Oh, hey, which edition of Traveler do you have? Oh, can I borrow that? Like, yeah.
Oh man, it would be so awesome.
That'd be very good. That's a very good tip, Kurt, coming back
thank you.
around to the thing.
Thank you.
Away from Stu's retirement plans.
See, I can't make retirement plans because I'm never going to be able to retire. So
I'm gonna. Yeah. I don't know. I'm still don't know. I mean, I've gone from I'm going to move to New Hampshire. I'm going to move to Colorado. I'm going to move to Oregon.
I tried so hard to put us back on the rails, my friends.
Sorry.
Like, I really...
Sorry.
I tried, listeners at home.
This was my fault.
well,
That's entirely my fault.
All right. Licensed games from Jolene. Hey, y'all. Y'all said you needed emails, so here's an email with a conversation near and dear to me.
Okay.
What are your thoughts regarding playing games in either a licensed game or just playing in a pre-existing setting? Like, an example could be Star Wars official games versus Traveler Star Wars games you've played. Do you have any pros for actually playing an official game release versus just finding a system you like that works with a setting? You can go either way on official games. Who knows if I'll like the mechanics, but I love playing in pre-established settings because I love fan fiction, but hate writing, so RPing in Marvel or DC Universe is so much fun to me. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts.
I think I know your answer to this.
Did your mic just die? Oh, your mic is pointed the wrong way.
Oh, see, I was right.
How was it pointed the
Well,
wrong?
it's not Omni.
I think you're... Yeah, I think...
You're good now.
Sorry.
I think you're leaning forward away, and it's not picking up.
Maybe my hands were over it.
It's like golf. Keep your head down, keep your arms straight, keep your knees relaxed.
Oh, is that what I'm
Keep
doing
your eye
now?
on the ball.
Okay.
There's so much sports in this episode. I'm sorry, friends.
Oh, when you're working on your golf swing, there's like a million things.
Okay, we don't need to go into that. It's fine.
I think I know your answer to this question, though.
Well, yeah?
Yeah, you don't like playing in or at least running in established IPs.
But I yes and no. I think when I want to do it, I'm going to do it in a way that's probably going to drive people who like the established IP crazy, because I like the characters in the established IP. They're the problem. That's the way I see it. That's the problem with most established settings, especially let's say you're playing Star Wars, right? Like I picked an era in Star Wars where at least there were no movies. At least there hadn't been any movies made yet. Okay, right? Because it's like okay, the Empire's fallen, the Emperor's dead. It's going to take years for the Empire to actually completely collapse because entropy, right. and so that would be an interesting time to play. And the sort of big canonical characters, you don't have to worry about them because they're done with what they're doing, and it doesn't matter. They don't matter anymore. That to me is the problem. Is the problem with settings like that. It's like if you're running a game of Dresden Files where Harry Dresden exists, and it's not early in the books, what he's doing is going to like be on your radar, and so your characters aren't the big protagonists. There's a bigger protagonist out there. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, well, I'd keep the setting stuff, but erase the characters, or find a time when they don't matter.
Right.
That to me is
my friend and bandmate ran a 3-year-long Middle Earth campaign that was set during the Second Age. Yeah. So, all the books are about the Third Age.
Yeah.
So
right.
Not
we're going back.
all of them.
Silmarillion's about all of the
Yes,
ages,
I'm
isn't it?
too much, but
Actually. Sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I mean that is the way to do it. Is just pick a different time frame or whatever. I mean, I ran a game that was in an established IP called World War I.
Right.
Well, I think the question is more nuanced than that, though. Like, Jillian's specifically asking, like, do you like if we were going to play Star Wars, do you like playing in something that is designed and licensed to be Star Wars, like the ones that we were playing at Edge of the Empire,
those
and
up
that
there.
stuff, or do you like finding something that, oh, hey, this Traveler, like Bill's Traveler hack, like, hey, fits better, like.
Yeah.
My problem is, like, I would love to play in, like, official game settings, except a lot of the times I find I don't like them. Like, Edge of the Empire, I was so excited about playing that game, and it's got so many problems. It's just mechanically. There's so many mechanical things that end up, like, tying your hands so you can't be what you want to be.
Oh, yeah, and the skill trees are, like, ridiculous if you're trying to play a Force user.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, one day you're going to be able to move that rock with your brain.
Right.
But not now. Not for a long time.
Which, like, some people really dig that, but I want to, like, if I want to play a the old grizzled Jedi who's coming to help these young whippersnappers or whatever.
Good luck.
Yeah, you can't really do
you
that.
can make that kind of character in that game.
You can't. I just find that a lot with a lot of these systems. That's the easiest example. It's the one everybody knows. Like the new Avatar that's kickstarting, like blowing up. And I'm a huge PBTA fan, but I've got some like hesitation with it. I've looked at the beta a whole bunch. It could work amazingly. I've watched a couple actual plays of it, and it just seems a little more complicated than I would have made an Avatar game.
Yeah, and yet I don't think that system is actually robust enough to handle Avatar.
Oh, see, I'm the opposite. I think that PBT, like, Avatar is not so much about, like, how to fight things. It's about that journey as a kid and learning who you are and what you stand for.
Okay, fair enough.
If you wanted to make a combat Avatar thing, great, but you also have to be like, okay, they're kids. Like, nobody dies in Avatar. Like, nobody really has big, bad fights for the most part in Avatar.
Yeah, it's true.
Because it's a Nickelodeon kids show.
Right.
So, I mean, if you wanted to do, like, adult, like, battle, extreme, like, benders, okay, but that's not the cartoon. That's not
like Dark
Avatar.
Age of Avatar or something. Right?
Yeah, like, it gets a little darker in Legend of Korra, but not, like, a lot. It's still...
Yeah, it's there. There's not. Well, there is some murder and death in Korra, isn't there?
A little bit, but it's still, for the most part, off-screen, and that sort of thing.
It doesn't happen to the main
I found
characters.
it so weird that suddenly it went from basically a fantasy to diesel punk. That was the weird thing to me in the course of a generation. Because it basically is one generation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
Maybe
trying
two.
to make it a little different.
I know, but it's like, had it turned diesel punk? Because that's kind of basically what it looked like.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
To be fair,
be fair.
steampunk and diesel punk was super popular at the time.
That's probably why they did it.
But, so it's just, like, those, I think the thing is with these IPs is everybody has, like, even in this conversation about Avatar, like, we have a different idea of what that is.
Right.
And it's really hard for a game company to create a game that encapsulates everybody's notion of what an IP really is.
Right.
So some people, Star Wars is about the late, I'm having this problem issue as I'm working with my sci-fi PBTA right now, Starscape. It started as a Star Trek, like, hack. Everybody's idea of what Star Trek is really about is completely different. I've
absolutely,
discovered.
yeah.
Some people, it's like, oh no, it's really about the rank structure. It's really about how the science works here. Yeah, it isn't for me too. I made that face too. But, and then for me, it's like, no, like Star Trek is about that found family and surviving with each other and that trust with the crew. Surviving in a tin can in space, no matter what with like nobody to help them.
I think it's about smug utopians.
Oh, that too.
People's attitudes about Star Trek, I think, is influenced by which of the series is their favorite.
Accurate.
Because, like, my favorite of the series is DS9,
Yes.
which has a very different feel and purpose than Next Generation or Voyager or the original series. Or
Right.
Mine's
Yeah.
determined by my least favorite, which is Next Generation,
Okay.
Yeah.
which is the smug
The
utopia.
smug utopia. Yeah, that's true. But, so I think that's the problem. And so I think it depends. You have to really break down an official, system and be like, okay, does this capture what I love about this IP?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, I wonder with games like the Star Wars FFG games, were they trying to make a system that was going to emulate what happens in the movies, or were they trying to make a system to sell dice? Because they did really good at one of those two things.
I think. I mean,
But that's what drives me crazy. Was it Margaret Weis Productions, or was it the Cortex line of games?
Yeah.
Not Cortex itself, but Leverage. They had like a sort of like a framework for a RPG system, and then they modify it for the IP that they're working on. And I think they probably, and I've never played any of them, but I've read several, and I think they're probably the best, like licensed IP RPGs there are, because they really made an effort to say, we're going to try to make the game mechanics emulate how things work in this IP.
yeah.
Right.
And I don't know if a lot of other people are doing that. Now the thing about PBTA is you can adapt that to probably anything, because it's people
so
sitting
popular.
around talking.
Yeah, and it's so light, and
Yeah,
I think that's
yeah.
the draw of it. Is
It's pure narrative. The
Yeah.
game mechanics are all about narrating.
Yeah, each playbook has their cool things, and you don't necessarily have to worry, is my blaster as effective as a lightsaber? Because it's not about the math of that. It's about what cool thing can I do? Oh, can I shoot the thing and make the door fly open?
Right.
Or can I throw my lightsaber and take out the stormtrooper? Like those two things in PBTA aren't mathematically different, which drives some people wild.
Nothing in PBTA is mathematically different.
That's true.
Yeah.
But that's also the cool part of it, is there is a Star Wars PBTA hack that I love. I'm not going to name it because it turns out the writer is a dick. But it was honestly the most fun I've ever had in a Star Wars game, because every playbook, they had super powerful Jedi playbooks, but it was just as much fun to play the Scoundrel or the Gearhead or all those things that was there, because the person who's a dick had done a really good job of designing it.
Right.
So it's, I think...
Competence and good personhood don't necessarily go hand in
I
hand.
know, it sucks. But you can tell when people design something from a place of loving the IP, and I think the problem with a lot of these official IPs is that the company hires people to do it. Well, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and they probably love the IP, but they come at it as a game designer, not as, oh my god, I love this thing so much, I want to play this, I'm going to make this.
Right.
So I think a lot of fan-made stuff, people have the same thing if they love fanfic, the fanfic sometimes captures the heart of the IP better than official written
Sure.
sequels and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
And so I think it's whether you come at it as, hey, I got paid to write this, I'm going to design a really amazing thing that covers absolutely everything in this universe, and you'll be able to calculate exactly the damage your lightsaber does versus, the repeating blaster. And you're like, wow, that's not what I care about in fantasy and space. Whereas fans come at it as oh, the struggle of corruption and oh, again, in the face of adversity, can these tiny band of people, work for freedom? And then that's more the heart of what it is.
Right.
So I think those very two starting points generally are very dictate the outcome.
Right. I mean, and it's to contrast, when Bill did his Star Wars hack, which I think we started it as an. Did we do it as an AP? We
did it.
It was back when we were not recording audio very well.
It's on there, or it's on there somewhere. You guys
Is
did
it still there? Because
Yeah,
I was using a portable recorder, I think.
yeah.
I don't even know.
It was on the website. If you deleted it, then that's.
I didn't delete it.
Okay.
I didn't delete it.
It's still there. If you look on our show's page, it's there.
But it worked out. I mean, Traveler's a tough system.
Yeah.
And it works out real well when you're playing Stormtroopers. It's very accurate.
Yeah.
You can't hit anything. And you die fast.
I remember that. Yeah.
I mean, comparatively, I played in a Babylon 5 game that was officially licensed, published.
Now, who did it?
That was going to say, it was, I want to say it was actually Mongoose, but they did it under the OpenGL, so it was essentially D&D 3.5 rules.
Oh, it was a D20?
It was a D20,
Okay.
yeah, it was a D20. I mean, everything was set up pretty much exactly the same as D&D 3.0, 3.5. And it's just that instead of playing instead of playing a wizard or a fighter or whatever, you were playing a Star Fury pilot or a Technomage or a Psychop or whatever. But It actually, I mean, it worked because, for the most part, it was a system we all knew and understood. Mm-hmm. We all recognized, however, that it was not the most elegant pairing of setting and system.
Right.
They did it because it was an open license.
Yes.
They didn't have to come up with a new mechanic set. It's like,
hard.
oh, we can just grab this.
It's hard coming up with role-playing game mechanics.
Yeah.
It's not easy.
But I mean, that one that they worked with. I want to say they actually worked with Straczynski, because there was stuff in the various supplemental books for it that came from not only the 5 seasons of the show, but also the 1 season of Crusade that came out, that was actually aired, mm-hmm. and some episodes that never made it to air.
Oh, really?
But they found scripts for, so they pulled lore from that.
Oh, that's cool.
That's very cool.
All of the one-shot movies they did, and some of the novelizations as well. So they pulled from all of that. So there was a lot of lore in that IP, this licensed IP product. Mm-hmm. It just, the system setting pairing was not the best, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think there are some.
It was a fun game, though.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be good ones out there. Like, I hear the Alien RPG is great and does a really good job.
I know that the Star Trek one did a really good. Who is that?
The Star Trek Adventures. I don't remember the publisher.
The one that
the big
they
one.
had a big Borg cube up there.
Yeah.
For...
But they ran into issues with that.
They did?
Yeah. Like, I mean, there are parts of it, again, like, it did really well, but it also, like...
It has like a technobabble mechanic, which I thought was awesome.
My game has a better one. Just gonna say.
Your game's technobabble mechanic is very fun. Yes, I agree.
But it's important to have that kind of stuff in a game.
Yeah.
That's why, if you're just going to shoehorn it into an existing system because it's easy, that's not necessarily going to be it's not going to be a good result.
Yeah.
That's what. Like I said, again, never played them, but of all the Margaret Weis production books, licensed books that I looked through, they all looked like they made a very serious effort to try to help you emulate the experience of watching the show at the table.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I am open to playing official games, and I try it a lot, and a lot of times I'm disappointed, but I keep hoping.
Right. The Star Wars to me was a huge disappointment.
I was so excited about those games. And I even like the weird die mechanic. Like, I don't think that's where it went wrong there, because they could have made a much simpler game with the same dice. Like it's a combination of selling weird die, which, is annoying, and also...
Yeah, like those. Yeah.
Like the vampire dice sitting right in front of us. And also just, like, being super, super complicated. It's just so complicated. And I think someone looked at that and was like... The more complicated we make it, the more books we have to sell. I don't know. I don't know what their thoughts are. I really think they came at it from we need to quantify everything we can in the universe, in this IP universe. And
well, I mean,
so it's
the books. There's 3 books that basically cover different eras.
Yeah.
But all within like the cinematic range.
Yeah.
Which is what 30 years or so of time. Which isn't that big of a stretch. But, I mean, I don't know. The dice thing annoyed me only because it's like, okay, we're playing and I'm sitting here minding my own business. Now I have to, like, come up with, like, this amazing triumph because someone failed their perception roll.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
They needed to clean that up a little bit. I liked it better, even on all the problems we had. I liked the dice mechanic better in the L5R beta. It seemed more elegant, even though it had problems still then. That was actually one of the things I really liked about the L5R beta, is the cool dice. It just worked well with that system.
But it had it wasn't called stress. It had a name for it. But it wasn't composure. Something like that, though. Mm-hmm. But it's like, that's how you were, like, maintaining your self-control.
Your facade, and then being able to lose that was really cool.
Yeah. And also,
Sort of similar to Hunger in the new Vampire, like how you'll lose
yeah,
your cool.
the hunger mechanic in Vampire 5.
Yeah.
I actually really like that new mechanic.
So good, so exciting.
I don't know that I'm going to be playing Vampire anytime soon, but I do like the new hammer. I got burnt out on Vampire.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
What?
I know, me, right?
If I were going to do it again, I would use 20th anniversary rules and figure out some way to integrate the hunger dice.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be
Because
cool.
it's just too fun. You think, oh, I've got 4 hunger dice now.
Yeah. No, that part
Something horrible
that actually is really cool. Yeah.
All right.
Good job. Good question.
Thank you,
Jolene.
Newspaper props?
I'd like
Go
to
ahead.
also point out that I did not sing any Dolly Parton because I'm sure that Jolene is really sick of people doing that.
Probably, yeah.
Stop. No, she's annoyed at it. That's why we're not doing it.
Fantastic song, though.
Probably. So good.
Have you heard what's her name? What's her name?
I don't know.
I've got it on my phone.
No, don't play it.
I'm not going to play it.
Okay.
But I have to find it.
Okay.
We can't afford the
Why don't you?
licensing.
Yes. Why don't you start reading? Speaking
start
of
reading.
licensing.
Okay, newspaper props from Dave in D.C. Dave in D.C.
Oh, Rhonda Vincent.
Okay, I don't
You know
know
who
who
Rhonda
that is.
Vincent is?
No.
Bluegrass artist. Fantastic.
Oh, I will look her up.
Fantastic voice. Anyway.
Dave in D.C. back again to give a follow-up to my email from season 27, episode 18, where Stu and Kimmy learned that I ran an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. convention game, which I ran for 2 groups, where the characters were stationed in a time-shielded base so that they could fix the timeline if a change had occurred. To recap, a change to the timeline had occurred, with Captain America and Nick Fury dying on a mission during World War II, resulting in the Axis winning the war and occupying America. While the characters investigated to find out when the change had been made, they received 2 props, copies of the same newspaper obtained at different points before and after the time change, which could be compared and would lead them to the plot hook of an NPC who was a World War II veteran who served with Captain America and had the information they needed. Ultimately, one group of players compared the 2 papers, while the other group ignored the 2 physical props, proving that if something can go wrong with a newspaper prop, it will.
Yes.
Here.
This is Happy Jack's lore and rules.
Exactly. Listening to Kurt, hey, that's me, on season 28, episode 14, on how he used newspaper props to deliver background and box text for the players in his D&D game, reminded me that I actually used a 3rd newspaper prop in my convention game.
Oh.
As players were packing up at the end of the game, I handed out a 3rd newspaper, dated a few weeks later. It served as an epilogue to prove to the characters that the timeline had returned to normal. However, it was a bittersweet ending, as this newspaper contained the obituary of the World War II veteran NPC. Presumably being aware of the time changes around him at his advanced age was too much and killed him. It stated that at the funeral, Captain America, wearing his army dress uniform, delivered one of the eulogies, and that Colonel Nicholas J. Fury, the enigmatic director of S.H.I.E.L.D., was in attendance and awarded the Army Distinguished Service Cross and the S.H.I.E.L.D. Medal of Valor posthumously to the family. It is unknown what connection he had with S.H.I.E.L.D., and the family was told that the circumstances warranting the awards remained classified. Several of the players who read it let out audible gasps and expressions of sorrow, realizing that in the context of the game, their successful mission had not come without a price. In this respect, I feel that this 3rd newspaper prop worked perfectly. Keep up the great gaming content, Dave in DC.
That is very good. I got goosebumps.
Oh, yeah.
That is super good. Wow. I love that thing you can, like, that emotional toll. Like, sometimes it's great to give players just, like, a straight win. Mm-hmm. But it's also awesome as a GM when you can have that inner conflict.
Yeah.
Or have have something that's so meaningful or rich with, like, different things that different players react differently.
I mean,
Different characters, sorry, not players.
Right. Well, I mean, even if players react. But, I mean, that also goes to prove that it was an important NPC. Mm-hmm. Because that NPC meant something to the characters and ultimately to the players.
Yeah.
So, good on you for making a compelling NPC.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's nice when you can have those like moments of remembrance. Like, it reminds me of the L5R game when you guys were like, like presented
With
with
the
the swords
swords.
of previous characters from generations prior.
Oh, that kind of goes back to like what we were talking about. Was it last week we were talking about the history of worlds? Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it just like gives you weight. And the cool thing you did, even though this was a single campaign, it sounds like
One shot it because it was a convention game. So.
Oh yeah, it's even a one shot. Damn.
Yeah.
Well
to get
done.
that in like 4 hours.
Yeah.
Well done.
Cool.
Yeah.
Right.
Hat. I'm not wearing a hat, but hat off to you, Dave. Well done. But like having that history, that weight of history, be part of a one-shot game like that.
Oh yeah,
That's amazing. Because yeah, like tying in older characters who have history is a great way, even if you're not running sequential campaigns in the same world, of adding the weight of what's happened before, even if it's all fictional, to what you're playing at the time.
I agree.
That's very cool. That is, I'm stealing that. That's good. It's really good.
I mean, if you have the opportunity to do like a post-mortem
Oh yeah.
thing, it's always
In this case, literally a postmortem.
yes.
Yes. I think it's important too to like ask the players, like, because a lot of times, oh, we did the final big thing, whatever it was. Okay, like to like, take a break for a minute and then ask the players. Okay, so jumping ahead, 6 months, a year, 2 years, what's so and so doing? Like, asking them what their character does. Like, and you'll be amazed sometimes with what they come up with. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it's really dark, and you aren't expecting it. And then sometimes they're not. Like, sometimes it's like, oh, I stopped adventuring. I started a family. I was torn by all the things I'd seen, so, like, I continued fighting until I was, I was killed in battle. Or, like, it's really, it can lend that final, like period to the sentence or of your camp. Like, it's a terrible metaphor. I'm sorry, but like just really put an end cap on it. That's like
a denouement.
Yeah, that's fancy. So, but just like really find a nice way to wrap it up that feels like an ending more than just, okay, great job, that was good, you killed the bad guy. All right, we're done. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
What's the difference between a denouement and entrement?
Oh Lord.
Well, entre means enter or beginning, so denouement is after. Is the conclusion, the epilogue. So
I thought denouement was just before the. Isn't the denouement just before
it's the last part? It's the last part of the story structure. The fifth part of the 5-part.
Okay, what's the thing that happens just before the climax?
The rising action.
There's a specific name for that thing.
I'm sure there is.
I
wasn't an English major. I was an engineer.
I was a journalism major. I thought denouement. See, I always thought denouement was the thing that happened just before the climax.
You should Google it so we can answer this question because now everybody's wondering.
Well,
They're
either that
yelling,
or they're screaming at it. Yeah.
Screaming
they're
at us.
screaming. Yeah, some of them are screaming the answer
in
at
the
us.
chat.
Very
probably.
frustrated.
Somebody's in the chat screaming at us, saying, "You are all idiots."
James V is there going, ah.
No, you're right. That's the end. But
I knew I was right.
There's a thing. There's a specific name for something that happens just before the end.
That doesn't have anything to do with this conversation.
No,
Yeah,
he's
but
just
it's
curious.
It's bothering me
Okay.
though.
This is what Google is
Tweet
for.
it out later.
I'll figure it out.
We believe in you. We have all the knowledge of the world on the internet somewhere.
Well, we also have all of the disinformation in the world on the internet.
That is accurate,
have
yes. But I'm pretty sure there's probably not a campaign of misinformation around denouement.
You want to see one start?
Yet.
No,
Yet. The
Forgot
very big word.
the word
Yet.
of the world of the internet. Yet is the answer. Okay.
Because for some goofy ass reason, because I've been on the internet forever,
Yeah.
I have I can go in and change locked topics in Wikipedia.
Oh, jeez.
I don't know how I got the permissions to do that, but my old Wikipedia account that I've had since the 90s lets me unlock shit.
You shouldn't have said that out loud. They're gonna cut you off, Stu.
Well, I always go and say,
I
I
didn't
still
even
have
realize
it.
Wikipedia was around in the 90s.
Well, whenever, however long,
Didn't they just celebrate their 10th anniversary?
however long
20th.
it's, no, it's not 10.
20th, maybe.
Yeah. However long it's been around, I've had an account from very, very early on. And I don't know why.
Okay.
I mean, do the Poxy Boggards have? Do we have a Wikipedia page yet?
The Boggards do. I don't know if the wives do.
No, we weren't
Trix doesn't.
important enough. We were deemed no.
They have a kind of a weird policy that you're not allowed to create articles about yourself.
You just tell someone else to do it for you. That's what we
Yeah.
did.
Oh.
That's why the Epoxy Boggards have a page, because I tried to put one up several times, and they took that shit down.
Somebody make a Happy Jacks RPG Wikipedia page.
Yes.
Write nice things.
Right.
Use a good picture of me.
Or don't use pictures at all.
Or don't use pictures.
Or at least start a stub,
There you go. Yeah. Somebody
because
wants
it's
to
a
make
lot of
one-
work to make a whole page on something.
Yeah.
All right.
I believe in you, my listeners. I believe you can do it. Nothing can stop us. Except evidently me making my own page, because they did not like that.
They
No,
don't. They
you-
don't like.
yeah,
you
they
can't
don't
do
like
that.
you
Not a page for me, but for Happy Jacks and the Merry Wives of Windsor, they were like,
Yeah.
Yeah, I tried making one for the Boggards, and they took it down. They said, "Oh, self-promotion, blah, 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 blah." And it basically was when the Super Bowl commercial happened. I was
Yeah.
like,
That makes
okay,
sense.
yeah, now we can't actually
Yeah.
take that down.
all right, so all we need is a Super Bowl commercial for Happy Jacks. And
Yeah,
we're set.
we just need something that
No problem.
right. The 15 minutes of fame.
I
Yeah.
can think of no way in which this could possibly end badly.
All right. Moving on.
We're moving on to the world building.
World building.
I don't
You have
have.
something?
I'm.
You came prepared.
I came prepared.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. You don't even need to type because it's a shared document.
Okay.
So
Let me look it up.
I will give you 3 choices: a bit of folklore, a race, or both. Both are both of them are short. So, which do you want?
Oh, both.
Okay. The race actually comes from my wife, Mary. So, folklore, the kudzu.
Feed Gorn.
A creeping mass of vegetative destruction wanders across the landscape. It consumes the life force of everything it rolls across, animal or vegetable. Of course, because it moves slowly, most animal life can escape its clutches, unless they're sleeping or hibernating.
It's like real kudzu.
Yeah, exactly. It wanders rather than expands, which is to say it is not anchored to any specific point. And it does move on. It is of greatest concern to farmers, of course, as it will wipe out any of their crops.
So it's sessile but still motile. So it's attached, but it can still move.
It's not.
Like
it's not attached to any one place.
But what I'm saying is it can sink roots and then
Yeah.
disintegrate the roots and resink them.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that's its motive.
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, I hadn't gone that far into
Okay.
it. That's getting into the weeds a bit.
Okay.
No, I will not apologize for that. Anyway, however,
I
the
don't know where it came
blooms
from.
of the kudzu can be harvested for healing and temporary protective effects.
Oh, so it's like a real thing. It's not just like a monster that you tell like evil stories about.
I mean,
oh,
maybe.
Maybe. Okay. But the lore is that you can use the flowers.
Part of the wonderful thing about folklore is that sometimes it's true.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Like fairies.
Right.
They hate nails.
Yeah.
Yes.
So Mary came up with this. It's a race that we still need a name for. We haven't come up with a name for this, but it's a race of avian humanoids. As they mature, their personalities determine their avian characteristics, whether they become raptors or corvids or buzzards or whatever. This is partially inspired by the demons in His Dark Materials, in that their physical aspects are malleable until, or at least mercurial until they sort of settle in towards
Like reach some
adulthood.
kind of maturity.
Yeah, exactly. And as they change, they molt.
Okay.
They're birds. Of course they do.
So we don't have a name for this race, but that was the idea.
Note it needs a name.
Yes, race needs a name.
Do you have anything?
And yes,
I don't have
Kimmy,
anything. And I'm not
yes,
making
Kimmy,
any
I was actually concise
It was very nice.
compared to the previous
I
ones.
noticed the one that Mary wrote was more concise, though. Yeah, I actually
I
have
wrote it, but-
just an animal. Like, it might be a little boring, but I was thinking, like, this species of large lizard, not dinosaur, but like
monitor lizard type thing.
yeah, more like that. But they're like, no, big, but they don't look like dinosaurs. They look like actual lizards, like what you'd see.
Crocodile
Okay.
or Komodo dragon.
No, like what you'd see in your garden. Like they're herbivores. So they're the kind of lizards you'd see like munching on like plants and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah, I want them to be different.
Okay.
But they are able to. Generally, the biggest they can get is about the size of maybe like a small car. When they're little, they climb the trees, and that's how they get to the leaves that they eat.
That's like Komodo dragon size.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
maybe yes. But I don't want... They're not, like,
Komodo
scary.
dragons are just big lizards.
I know, but they're... I think of them as, like, they got poisonous mouths and shit like that. Like, none of that.
And they can smell blood from like 8 miles
Yeah,
away.
and they can run and they murder things.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't want any of that. Like, none of that.
This is like a kind of like a shellless turtle.
Yeah, kind of.
Okay.
But they look more like the little lizard you'd see in their garden. Yeah, I've seen Komodo dragons.
It's a monitor lizard.
Yeah, okay.
So it's all the same family. I think it's all
Yeah,
the same
they're
family.
related. Yeah.
They still are scary.
Or tegus.
Yeah, see, that's it eating something giant. Yeah, I don't want no eating of other animals.
Okay.
That's a poor bunny. Okay.
Yes.
But yeah,
Squirrel or something.
and they're called the reg hall.
Reg Hall.
Yeah.
Guess what I'm going to ask you for?
Spelling.
Yep.
Reghal.
That's exactly what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how I spell everything. Exactly. As
Autocorrect says what you meant to write was regal.
I mean, okay. I was thinking dorky little lizards, but
Got it.
And as they get bigger, they live in these big ancient forests, so they start climbing the trees less and less as they get bigger, and they start getting to the point where they're big enough sometimes to pull over saplings and just eat them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, for the most part, they're not dangerous. They do lay eggs, and a lot of the local humanoids and species use them for food.
Good eating.
Yeah. Some people have or not people, but some of the groups have tried taming them. They're not particularly smart, so it's really hard to get them to do anything useful, but they're not hard to, like, be friendly with.
Okay.
But they are less intelligent than, like, a horse, so getting them to carry anything, they kind of just look at you.
Horses aren't that smart. So
Like that's like
pretty
most
big.
reptiles.
I know. I'm not saying I'm,
No,
like,
no,
rewriting reptiles.
I'm saying like because I've had like snakes and
Me too.
what's the one that changes colors when it gets pissed
Chameleon?
off? Chameleon. I had one of those once,
Me too.
and they're boring.
Chameleons are really boring. And they walk weird.
They just sit there and stare at you terrified.
Yeah.
That's all they do.
I'm very fond of snakes. Lizards less so, but they're still cool.
Now, did you hear when you mentioned that there was news about there's a tortoise?
Yes, I was thinking the same thing. Yes.
Oh, yeah?
So just happened
these-
like last week.
last year. But
instead
the video came out last week.
Oh, okay.
A Seychelles giant tortoise, which
Those are the ones that can live a really long time.
Yeah.
I mean, they primarily are herbivores, but
Yeah.
they have been known to eat carrion and such like that.
Yeah.
There was a video captured of this giant tortoise hunting, killing, and eating a baby tern.
It's a bird, right?
A bird,
yeah.
a bird that couldn't
How did a tortoise catch a bird?
I mean, it was a
baby,
juvenile. It was
yeah.
a juvenile, so it couldn't fly yet.
Yeah.
And because the young ones can't fly, they also have sort of an instinctive thought of not wanting to like jump down or fall off of any kind of precipice. So the tortoise hunted it and corralled it onto a log, and like it got it to the end of the log, and then the bird couldn't go anywhere, and he just.
Wow. That's amazing.
So
But it's
tortoises aren't herbivores.
They're
just-
omnivores, but they're so slow.
They're
like,
shitty
this
hunters.
is the very first time we've ever seen. I mean, we've had anecdotal evidence, but never actual like video of a tortoise hunting and killing prey.
I've never. I did.
No one had ever heard of this
Only
before.
once in 1,000 generations does a turtle get to catch something it wants to eat. But when it does, its name goes down in infamy. Binky the tortoise
Oh god, yeah, no, it was
His great-great-great-grandchildren will be talking about this.
in 5 millennia because they all live for a ridiculously long time.
Well, you've heard about that shark that lives... They don't know how...
Yeah, they don't know how long it lives. Yeah,
Have you heard about that?
Yeah.
It's crazy. The Greenland shark or something like
Yeah,
that?
the
Green
Greenland
shark or
yeah, the
something
Greenland
like that?
green shark. Yeah,
It's
Fake.
crazy. All right.
Greenland.
I think I don't know.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it lives like super, super, super deep, and its musculature is toxic to us because it's got all kinds of crazy compounds in it to be able to metabolize at such high pressures and stuff.
Yeah.
It's nuts. All right.
Now, is it a Greenland shark or is it a green land shark?
It's not a land shark. Definitely not a land shark.
Candygram.
It's funny because like we think we
That
come
is
up.
an old reference.
It is.
Wow.
It's we think we come up with all these cool things, and nature just already has better stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
So,
All right. That's it. Thank you for joining us. Was my thing... Nope, not that one. No, 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 no! There we go.
so hard
Any announcements or anything else?
to,
Nope.
no, I don't think so.
When does AP start?
Soon. So your AP is starting very soon, and Jason's AP is also starting very soon.
Got all the players worked out?
Yeah, actually for those two, sorry.
I have mine on my calendar.
Yeah. I make the calendar and I settle everyone into the schedule, and then I expect the GMs to know when their games are.
I have my game in my calendar.
Okay.
And my game starts...
He just doesn't know when the other games
Other
are.
games are, yes.
Which
Jason,
it's not his responsibility.
No, Jason's game is starting, I believe, the beginning of October, the end of September. There was one scheduling conflict with one of the players.
Maybe it's on my phone.
And he is running a Traveler game because he fell in love with Traveler.
It's a good system.
Yeah, it's a good system. So he's running that, and that's going to be called The Drop. And it's a custom setting that he's writing and he's making for that. And I don't know which tech level or anything, but yeah. And you are running a Fantasy GURPS game. And,
Yeah.
Sorry.
that was really good. That sounded just like it. I'm stalling because Stu's still trying to open his calendar.
I can't find it on my... I know I put it on my calendar.
Okay.
It's the 12th, right? I think mine starts on the 12th.
Of what
I'm
month?
looking.
Next month.
Okay.
Is it the 12th? I thought it was the 12th. I know it's around there.
That's good. I'm glad you know it's around there. It's fine. We'll look it up. It's on the internet.
It'll be online. Check out happyjacks.org/schedule.
Yes.
And happyjacks.org/live
Does that have-
for all the updates on when and what
I
to
think you're
watch
starting on
and-
the 26th.
I thought it was earlier than that.
It was going to be, and then your players couldn't make on the 12th. So you're starting on the 26th.
I have 12th. Our schedule says 12th. Sunday,
One of those
September
two dates.
12th, 4 p.m., GURPS Fantasy.
One of
Okay.
those 2 dates.
Well, we'll
will
figure it
be-
out. It'll be one of those. I'm
Again.
glad we're having this conversation right now.
Yeah,
Right.
live. Yeah.
All right, back to the thing.
happyjacks.org/schedule.
Oh, you're right. The 12th.
Thank you for joining us for season 28, episode 20 of Happy Jacks RPG Podcast. My name is Stu,
I'm Kurt.
And I'm Kimmy.
and we'll see you next week on September
Maybe.
12th.
Maybe.
And don't forget, yeah, see you next, and then, yeah,
Bye. You do. Absolutely never, absolutely do not